Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my FXmovies.20 channel? Thank you so much. Snow had accumulated significantly overnight, enveloping our small New England town in an immaculate white shroud. I stood by the frost-laden window, a steaming mug of tea warming my hands, observing the early January light casting a gentle radiance over the streets. The tranquility outside was soothing, almost reverential, serving as a reminder of the stillness that had permeated certain aspects of my life since Paul departed. My ex-husband, Sam, my son, was merely 4 when Paul abandoned us, compelling Sam and me to forge a new existence together. It had not been easy, yet we persevered. Sam, at 21, has become my anchor and my primary source of joy, evolving into a burgeoning photographer with aspirations that often seem disproportionate to this small community. The sound of footsteps descending the stairs interrupted my contemplation. They were composed and self-assured, embodying the confidence Sam exhibited lately as he entered the kitchen, clad in a knit sweater and jeans, his camera draped over his shoulder. His face radiated a smile capable of warming the coldest January morning. "Good morning, Mom," he greeted, leaning in to kiss my cheek. The faint stubble of his beard grazed my skin, a subtle reminder of his growth. "Morning, sweetheart," I responded. "Where are you headed so early?" He expressed with palpable enthusiasm that the lake's lighting was ideal following the recent snowfall and he wished to capture it before it altered. I nodded, pride swelling within me. Sam had always possessed an acute appreciation for beauty, recognizing nuances that others often disregarded, which rendered his photographs narrative rather than mere snapshots. I inquired, somewhat astonished, if he desired companionship. Typically, I led him to engage in his creative endeavors alone. Nevertheless, today I had an irresistible want to accompany him. His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "You would indeed join me?" I remarked with a smile. It has been quite some time since I last beheld the lake in winter, so I prepared to bundle up in defiance of the cold. We embarked, the frigid air biting at our cheeks as we navigated the snow-laden streets. The lake was not distant, yet the journey felt contemplative, nearly meditative. Upon arriving at the shore, the breathtaking view captivated me. The lake mirrored the bleak sky and the desolate trees encircling it. Frost adhered to the branches, sparkling like jewels in the morning sunlight. Sam promptly made adjustments as he adjusted his camera and sought the ideal shot. I observed him, entranced by the intensity in his gaze and the dexterity of his hands, which moved with both precision and fervor. In those moments I perceived reflections of Paul, not the man who had departed, but the dreamer I had once cherished. My mother's voice drew me back to reality. He regarded me with a slight smile, his head tilted slightly. "Are you okay?" he inquired. "Just thinking," I replied, brushing snow from my coat, "watching you work." To my astonishment, Sam did not respond. He reacted unfavorably to the topic of Paul, rarely discussing him. Nonetheless, today his countenance conveyed the question, "Do you miss him?" he inquired. He occasionally hesitated before agreeing, though not in the manner one might expect. I lament the concept of what we could have become, the family we were destined to be, but I do not regret the outcome since it afforded me further time. Sam's gaze met mine, and for a moment words seemed superfluous. He stepped forward, leaving his camera behind, and enveloped me in a warm embrace. Through the layers of our jackets, his warmth permeated me, and for the first time in a long while I felt genuinely safe. "I am pleased that it has only been us," he stated softly. "I wouldn't alter it for anything." Tears welled in my eyes, but I swiftly blinked them away. "Neither would I murmured. We lingered by the lake as the sun ascended, softening the snow and melting the frost. Sam documented everything, the glimmer of sunlight on the ice, the gentle angulation of water where the ice met the shore, and the subtle tracks of a fox meandering through the trees. Observing him, I recognized something profound. Sam was no longer merely my son, he was an adult forging his own trajectory. Regardless of where his aspirations led him, I was certain that our connection would endure. As we went home, I looked at him, a smile playing on my lips. "Sam," I said. "Yes," he replied. "Promise me something." "Anything. Always appreciate the beauty in the world. We require more of that." He smiled, his breath creating little clouds in the brisk air. "I will not, Mother, I assure you." As we walked side by side through the snow, I experienced a novel sensation, a warmth blossoming within me, as if the winter morning had subtly transitioned to spring. Sam began to glance at me with a playful smile. "I believe I have discerned the reason my photographs have not been distinguishing themselves recently," Sam announced with a reflective tone. I tilted my head in curiosity, intrigued by his sudden declaration. He halted, raised the camera, and aimed it directly at me, revealing that my best subject had been before me all along. He continued with a grin and I laughed, brushing off the snow that clung to my coat. You mean me? Hardly. I'm not exactly what one would call photogenic, I remarked. He did not respond immediately. Instead, he captured a photograph before I could voice my objection. Your assertion is incorrect, Mother, he ultimately said. You possess an innate beauty. It is not about resembling a model, but rather about embodying someone's essence. You are remarkable. His remarks caused my cheeks to redden, though it was not just due to the compliment. You certainly have a way with words, do you not? I responded, attempting to appear indifferent. He playfully winked, a facet of his attractiveness, and continued to taunt. The repartee persisted along our walk. Upon returning home, he persisted in capturing photographs, eliciting laughter, and smiles from me with his jovial remarks and shared inside jokes. By the time we arrived at the house, my face ached from smiling, yet it was a delightful discomfort. I can't wait to show you these, he declared as we entered, his boots fitting against the wooden floor. I believe you'll adore them, only if I am permitted to approve the edits first, I suggested while unwrapping my scarf and hanging it by the door. He cast me a playful glance as he ascended the stairs, remarking, Do not be surprised if they exceed your expectations. I chuckled softly, the warmth of our exchange lingering as I occupied myself with tidying up. Sam did not descend for the remainder of the day, which was customary when he immersed himself in his creative endeavors. From his room, faint music wafted down, occasionally accompanied by the gentle click of his camera, indicating he was fully engrossed in his work. The following morning, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee roused me from sleep. I stretched languidly, hesitant to abandon the warmth of my blankets in the brisk January air. As the door creaked open, Sam stood holding a tray with a steaming mug of coffee, a muffin adorned with a candle, and a little vase of flowers. Happy birthday, Mom, he said softly, his voice imbued with affection. Sam stated, You didn't have to go to all this trouble. My heart swelled with emotion as I sat up, attempting to suppress tears. Of course I did, he replied. He positioned the tray on my lap and rested on the side of the bed. I observed as I extinguished the candle and savored the coffee, which was precisely to my liking. The consideration behind the gesture rendered the day exceptional before it had genuinely commenced. The hours elapsed in a haze of tranquil moments and exchanged smiles, and by the time evening arrived, the house had become tranquil as the environment returned to its customary tranquility. I nestled on the couch with a book, relishing the serenity. It was not until shortly before midnight that I became aware upon hearing Sam's footsteps descending the stairs. He entered the living room clutching a sleek black box. His expression was neutral, yet his eyes gleamed with excitement. Mom, he stated, standing before me, I have one final surprise for your birthday. I set my book aside and smiled up at him, acknowledging, You've already done so much today, Sam. What is this? Open it and see, he urged teasingly. I lifted the lid to uncover layers of delicate tissue paper. Nestled inside was a stunning set of black lingerie accompanied by a satin robe that felt impossibly soft to the touch. I gazed at it for a moment, struggling to find the right words. Sam, I began, my voice faltering, This is beautiful. There is additional information, he interjected with an expanding grin, urging me to don it and head up the stairs. I paused, uncertain how to interpret his request, yet the enthusiasm in his voice was contagious. Summoning my confidence, I nodded and transported the box to my room. Once attired in the robe with lingerie beneath, I ascended the stairs. A blend of anxiety and anticipation surged within me as I opened his door. I halted in astonishment. The room was illuminated by a gentle red glow, with light filtered through fabric draped over the lamps. A polished silver pole occupied the center of the room, encircled by delicate tendrils of smoke emanating from a machine in the corner. On a nearby table rested a black leather cat mask, refined and sophisticated. Sam turned to me, camera in hand, and remarked warmly, You look amazing. Handing me the mask, he instructed, Put it on, this will enhance the images. While I hesitated, his comforting smile encouraged me. It is merely for enjoyment, he stated softly. You have consistently contributed significantly for others. Allow me to undertake this task on your behalf. Taking a deep breath, I donned the mask and entered the radiance of the red light as upbeat music permeated the room, its rhythm invigorating. Initially, I experienced discomfort, but Sam's praise and laughter swiftly alleviated my unease. He directed me with attentiveness, documenting instances that appeared both whimsical and empowering. He remarked that I possess innate talent. As I briefly lowered the camera, I said, I don't believe you comprehend your own magnificence. His genuineness surprised me. As I locked eyes with him through the red light, I sensed a transformation. This was beyond mere photographs or anniversaries, it spoke to a profound connection. As the evening progressed, I let myself place my trust in him fully, relinquishing my inhibitions to authentically embrace the present. The rhythm of the music resonated through the atmosphere, merging with the crimson illumination and the gentle mist of the smoke machine. I experienced a surge of exhilaration, a reawakening of aspects of myself that I had long neglected. Sam halted, observing me with a contemplative demeanor. "You are remarkable," he remarked, his tone infused with admiration. "Where have you been concealing yourself?" With a confident laugh, I shook my head in denial. "Sam, this is not what I would typically describe as my usual Thursday night of You've Got Talent." Sam replied with a grin, suggesting, "I believe you are enjoying this more than you admit." His humorous remarks elicited a smile from me. While not wholly incorrect, there was an element of liberation in allowing myself to be perceived in a manner that was both empowering and vulnerable. Subsequently, a memory emerged, one I had not contemplated in years, concealed beneath layers of obligation and habit. "You could consider this remarkable." I playfully crossed my arms, wearing a wicked expression, suggesting that he had yet to witness something remarkable. Sam lifted an eyebrow, suspicion evident in his expression. "What else are you concealing?" "I previously attended heel classes," I responded as I removed the satin robe from my shoulders to unveil the delicate lingerie underneath. "I still recall a move or two." His eyes widened in astonishment, and he stepped back dramatically, gesturing with his camera. "All right, now you must demonstrate," he insisted. "Very well," I replied with feigned seriousness, "but do not dare to laugh." I approached the silver pole, and the atmosphere in the room transformed into one of eager anticipation. It had been years since I had engaged in such an activity, yet muscle memory is an intriguing phenomenon. Removing my heels, I grasped the pole and descended effortlessly, executing a graceful spin. The fluidity of my movements attested to the countless hours I had dedicated to refining my technique in the past. Sam stood motionless, his camera momentarily neglected as I transitioned into a series of maneuvers. I had not realized I still retained a fireman's spin, a pirouette, and an audacious climb up the pole. The soft red light illuminated the silver surface as I descended, my movements fluid and assured. Upon landing, I turned to see Sam applauding enthusiastically, his smile wide and sincere. "Mom, that was amazing," he exclaimed, approaching me. "How did I not know you could do that?" I expressed indifference by shrugging, breathless yet exhilarated. "It was an eternity since I attended classes for enjoyment, prior to your birth. Who could have anticipated that I would still possess it?" "Well, I am genuinely impressed," he remarked, his voice softening as pride illuminated his tone. "You are truly beautiful." The sincerity in his voice surprised me as he approached, leaning in to kiss my cheek, the warmth of his affection lingering just long enough to reach me. "You genuinely look remarkable this evening." He stepped back to provide me with room. For a moment, I was rendered speechless. His smile and sincere admiration imbued the moment with profundity. "Thank you," I murmured, adjusting the robe around my shoulders. "That means a lot, Sam." The music transitioned to a softer melody, and I became acutely aware of the silence enveloping the house. Beyond the confines of his room, the world felt remote and inconsequential. In this space, it was merely the two of us sharing a connection that words could not encapsulate. Sam lifted his camera once more, smiling as he asked, "Mind if I take one last shot?" "Just you by the pole, nothing fancy." I hesitated, but his encouraging expression made it difficult to decline. Leaning gently against the pole, I allowed the robe to drape loosely over my shoulders, meeting his gaze through the lens. The flash illuminated the moment, capturing an experience I knew I would cherish forever. "Perfect," he declared, lowering the camera. "You're a natural." I laughed, shaking my head in disbelief. He approached, his expression softening, and remarked, "Perhaps, but I believe you are attributing me with excessive praise. You have consistently been an exceptional mother. I'm just lucky enough to see." His words left me speechless from all the playful teasing. This moment felt profound, like we had rediscovered a part of our relationship that had been quietly waiting to resurface. The evening wound down gradually, the atmosphere settling into a comfortable silence. Sam eventually packed away his camera, and we shared a late-night cup of tea in the kitchen, laughing about how out of breath I'd been after my impromptu performance. It felt natural, easy, as though the night had drawn us even closer. By the time I climbed into bed, my mind swirled with emotions. Pride, joy, nostalgia, and something else I couldn't quite name. Sam had always been my world, the reason I pushed through life's toughest moments. But tonight, he had given me something I hadn't realized I needed, a chance to feel alive again. Tomorrow, life would return to normal, but as I drifted off to sleep, I carried with me the memory of red light, laughter, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her son. The next morning, the house felt quieter than usual. Sam hadn't come downstairs, and as the hours passed, I began to wonder what he was up to. Normally, by now he'd be in the kitchen, either brewing coffee or adjusting his camera. There was an unusual stillness indicating a shift. My curiosity compelled me to investigate. As I ascended the stairs, I paused outside his door, listening. I discerned the faint sound of his voice, a low murmur accompanied by soft movements. I knocked lightly but did not await a response. "Sam," I called, and upon opening the door, the sight compelled me to halt. He was reclined on his bed, legs extended, camera in hand, the screen emitting a faint glow. I immediately recognized the images. Photos from the previous night featuring me in a satin robe under red light, enveloped in a soft haze of smoke. At the sound of my voice, he turned abruptly, hastily attempting to turn off the camera, his face turning crimson as he sat up suddenly, evading my gaze. "Mom," he stammered, "I did not hear you knock." I entered, shutting the door behind me. "Sam, it's all right," I stated gently, attempting to alleviate his anxiety. "Why did you activate it so swiftly?" He demonstrated with his fingers to me, grasping the camera firmly while gazing at it. "I didn't believe you would want to see them," he confessed, his voice scarcely audible. "They're personal." I flashed a kind grin and moved to sit on the edge of the bed next to Sam. "You captured those photographs. I have confidence in you, and I would like to examine what you have captured." He hesitated, his whitening knuckles clutching the camera tightly. His face was flushed, and the tips of his ears were glowing red. After a brief pause, he exhaled deeply and nodded reluctantly, handing the camera to me. "I didn't intend to create this awkwardness," he murmured, his gaze directed at the floor. "I merely wanted to ensure I recorded everything accurately. I acquired the camera with meticulous care." He activated the device and navigated through the. Each photograph was exquisite in its own right, portraying me in a manner I scarcely recognized. A blend of softness, strength, and beauty that appeared almost ethereal. Some images depicted me laughing, my head thrown back in authentic joy, while others were more composed and deliberate. The red light enveloped the scene in a warm glow that accentuated every detail. "Sam," I said, my voice quavering as I examined the photos, "these are remarkable." Finally, he looked up, his expression a combination of anxiety and anticipation. "Do you truly believe so?" I nodded, matching his gaze. "You possess a remarkable gift, Sam, in the way you perceive the world and me." I struggled to articulate my thoughts as a small smile played on his lips and the stiffness in his shoulders relaxed slightly. "I merely wanted you to recognize how extraordinary you are," he stated gently. "You have contributed significantly to my life, Mother." I wished to reciprocate. I placed the camera aside and grasped his hand, offering a gentle squeeze. "You have already bestowed upon me so much, Sam, more than you may ever comprehend." For a moment, we sat in silence, the unexpressed emotions between us palpable yet reassuring. His cheeks flushed under my scrutiny, yet his expression conveyed a vulnerability, a testament to his significant growth. "You are blushing," I jested gently, aiming to alleviate the residual tension. He chuckled softly, raking a hand through his hair. "I simply did not anticipate your entrance while I was examining them," he confessed with a sheepish grin. "There is no need for embarrassment," he added, returning the camera to him. "You have created something beautiful, and I am immensely proud of you." As he accepted the camera, his fingers grazed mine, and he kept it close to himself. "Thank you, Mom," he said softly, nevertheless imbued with sentiment that holds significant value. I went down and kissed his cheek, mirroring his gesture from the previous day. His skin was warm, and his eyes glimmered with appreciation as he smiled. "You possess an extraordinary talent, Sam," I remarked. "Never allow anyone to dissuade you." As I exited his room, I gently closed the door behind me, and a surge of pride and affection enveloped me as I contemplated the moment. Sam was not merely my son, he was an extraordinary young man, brimming with talent, compassion, and integrity. Although the events of the previous night had been unconventional, they had forged a bond between us that I had never anticipated. Back in my own room, I could not contain the smile that blossomed on my face. The photographs, the laughter, the shared vulnerability, all of it felt as though we were constructing something uniquely ours, something authentic, profound, and undeniably beautiful.